Let's be real. Not everything from the 70s holds up in 2024. But these sci-fi gems are the exception. From wild futuristic visions to effects that should be laughable today, somehow, they still work. Get ready to dive into the movies that shouldn't stand the test of time, but absolutely do. In the 23rd century, life is a party until you hit 30. Then it's game over. Logans Run introduces us to a world where a computer controls everything, and population control means mandatory death at 30. Logan 5, a Sandman who normally hunts down runners trying to escape their fate, ends up becoming one of them. The original plan was to have the cutoff age be 21, just like in the book, but the filmmakers upped it to 30, figuring the audience would better relate to a slightly older protagonist. Plus, those miniature model effects still hold up pretty well for 70s sci-fi.
Pleasure is the way of life. But in the 23rd century, life lasts 30 years. He and the girl who loves him become the hunted when they set off on Logans Run.
In Soilent running, Earth's forests have all but disappeared, except for a few kept alive in domes floating through space. Freeman Lowell, a botanist on a mission to protect the last of Earth's greenery, decides to rebel when ordered to destroy it all. As he turns against his own crew, his only companions become three endearing little robots named Huey, Dewey, and Louie, played by amputees in custom-built suits. It's a hauntingly beautiful film that puts nature, and our negligence, at the center of the story, long before environmentalism was mainstream.
Valy Forge, what the hell's wrong? You're moving out, you're accelerating.
I've got a premature detonation on dome number 2, and I've got an explosion in the main cargo deck. Now, please advise me immediately. The man has a full house, and he knew it.
The year is 2022, and overpopulation has left New York City in a state of chaos. People live on processed food rations, with the newest product, Soilent Green, being the most popular. But when Detective Frank Thorne starts digging into the murder of a high-ranking Soilent executive, he uncovers one of the darkest secrets in sci-fi history. The film was inspired by real fears of overpopulation in the 70s, and it even picked up a special humanitarian award for raising awareness about environmental issues.
They're making our food out of people. Next thing, they'll be breeding us like cattle. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Soilent Green is people!
Omega Man gives us a post-apocalyptic world where Charlton Heston's Robert Neville is seemingly the last man standing. Immune to a pandemic that's turned humans into night-dwelling mutants, Neville roams a deserted Los Angeles by day and fights for his life by night. This adaptation of Richard Matheson's novel adds a bit of 70s camp to the horror genre, with Neville using all kinds of quirky tech to stay alive. In real life, Heston wanted the role so badly that he called the producers every week to make sure the movie was moving forward.
The last man on Earth always carries an automatic weapon. The last man on Earth is hunting.
Nothing says classic 70s sci-fi like drilling your way to the center of the Earth. At the Earth's core follows a scientist and his buddy as they discover a prehistoric world run by telepathic bird-like creatures who enslave the local humans. It's a bit cheesy, sure, but if you're a fan of practical effects, this one's a hidden gem. The film's star, Peter Cushing, took the role because he wanted a break from his usual horror movies and figured a fantastical adventure would be a nice change of pace. It didn't win over the critics, but it's got that cult charm.
Take care of yourself, David!
Humans of another age, chained in bondage by an army of ape men, preyed upon by monstrous giants.
In this movie, we dive into Victorian era obsession as a scientist discovers the asphyx, a spirit that appears at the moment of death. Naturally, he tries to capture it in the hopes of achieving immortality. But, as with all experiments that mess with death, it leads to tragedy. The asphyx itself was brought to life using practical effects and optical tricks, giving the film a unique, eerie atmosphere that still holds up today, despite its low budget.
And now they're here. Gentlemen, what you have seen, what we have recorded, is the soul at the moment it departs the body. Good grief! I tell you, it's so.
Rollerball drops us into a future where corporate control is absolute, and the only outlet for aggression is a hyper-violent sport. Jonathan E., the reigning champ, is pressured to retire, but instead, he questions the very system that controls him. This film, surprisingly, predicted a lot about the dangers of corporate power, making it even more relevant in 2024. James Caan did most of his own stunts during the intense rollerball matches, adding a brutal authenticity to the film's action scenes.
You better do as you're told, Jonathan. That's all I have to say.
Don't be here when I come back.
You won't be back, Johnny boy.
No player is greater than the game itself. It's not a game a man is supposed to grow strong in, Jonathan.
Westworld gave us the ultimate playground-turned nightmare. Set in a high-tech amusement park where guests can live out their wildest fantasies with robot hosts, things go haywire when a malfunction turns the robots deadly. The gunslinger android, played by Yul Brynner, hunts down two guests in a relentless game of cat and mouse. Brynner's gunslinger character was an intentional nod to his role in The Magnificent Seven, 1960, right down to the black cowboy outfit.
That's not supposed to happen.
What's he in for?
Central malfunction.
Another one?
As the sequel to Westworld, Future World tries to pick up where the original left off. Survivors of the Westworld disaster are invited back to the park, now supposedly safer, but they uncover a plot involving android duplicates of world leaders. The movie didn't quite hit the mark like its predecessor, but it's still a fascinating continuation. Future World was the first major Hollywood film to use 3D computer graphics, a groundbreaking moment for visual effects, even if the film itself didn't land as well.
The ultimate vacation resort, fully programmed for your pleasure, where for only $1,200 per day, you can experience anything you can imagine. And a few things you can't.
My knight to your pawn.
Where your fantasies become reality. Where highly sophisticated technician, maintenance, and servant series robots work together to make your wildest dreams come true.
In George Lucas's directorial debut, we get a vision of a dystopian future where people's emotions are numbed by drugs, and individuality is a thing of the past. One of the workers stops taking his medication, and his entire world falls apart as he tries to escape this oppressive society. This sci-fi gem was actually expanded from a student film Lucas made while studying at USC, showing early glimpses of his fascination with dystopian worlds.
He seems to have an 818. Can you feel this? 4814. 6341, no, wait for 32. Before 105. Above the 521.
Damnation Alley gives us a post-apocalyptic world after a nuclear war has tilted the Earth's axis, making the planet a mutant-filled wasteland. A group of survivors travels across this dangerous landscape in their armored vehicle, hoping to find others. The film had a rough time in production, with extensive reshoots and delays. And while it didn't quite hit the mark, it became a bit of a cult classic due to its inventive special effects and Mad Max-style aesthetic.
Only their courage and the instinct to live could carry them safely through the hell that lies ahead. the devastation of man, and the mutations of nature gone wild.
Star Crash is one of those so bad it's good gems. Smuggler Stella Star is recruited by the Emperor to rescue his son and stop an evil count from destroying the universe. What follows is a wild ride of space battles, strange worlds, and outlandish characters. While the film wasn't a hit, it found its place as a cult classic, often referred to as a low-budget Italian Star Wars. Adding to its cheesy fun, David Hasselhoff makes an appearance, wielding a lightsaber-like weapon long before he was Knight Rider.
The Count has created a weapon so vast, so huge, that it would take a whole planet to conceal it. You must sail to the haunted stars, find the Count's secret planet, and destroy it.